Really excited about this guest today. I just want to give a little backstory. So I met Shellane through TikTok, the beginning of last year, and I remember she had commented on one of my first workout posts, and she's like, "Keep going, you're doing great." And I'm like, "Thank you." I think you were literally one of the very first people to ever really comment on my progress, and it just kind of lifted me up. Yes, you, and every day you send me a positive. Oh, that's so cool. A positive affirmation, just reminding me to keep going. So that's how I got to meet the real Foy 66, and I love that. I love that in a world where it's just a little pond. It's a huge pond, and you could still have ways of reaching people. So that's why I
Yeah.
love social media.
And the support is
Yeah.
amazing.
So we've been following each other on Instagram now, and when we started our show, I wanted to bring Shellane on, and she very graciously agreed. And we've been in a group chat now, and we're talking about, like, what do we want to discuss today? And we'll get to that. But I wanted to give a background because Shellane is an actress. But, most importantly, you are a U.S. Army vet. So thank you so much for your service, which is badass. Ooh.
Ding, ding. We're not allowed to curse. We ding it.
All right, I'll take that one. She deserves that, though. In and of itself, that's amazing, because a female in any type of military is always, it's never, given the gratitude and respect it deserves.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. And you're an actress, you're a journalist. And I wanted to ask, how did you transition from acting into becoming the COVID compliance officer on very many movie sets that we know?
Well, one of the things is, well, first of all, I just want to preface everything by saying I am, as of right now, 57 years old. So I had a lot of opportunities to reinvent myself. And when the pandemic came, that was another time where I had to shift gears and say, well, I still want to be in this industry, but I got to figure out a different way. So, as a COVID compliance officer, yes, you are there to enforce protocols such as wearing masks, but then I am also, sometimes I'm actually testing people. I'm also connecting very quickly with the labs in case somebody does test positive. So then I have to shift gears again, and there's this whole sanitation process that occurs, and then just enforcing protocols, what happens on that aspect. And I started in the very, very beginning of the pandemic, taking all the necessary certifications and educations. And then from there, I went from just being, the person, I guess, like the monitor per se, and then
Mm-hmm.
going into the actual management position. And then when you start moving up, and I did it for 3 years, and I did it primarily in Atlanta, but I did travel in various parts of the country. And yeah, I did meet a lot of different people.
Obviously. But so, being that, I just want to point out, so I've gotten the opportunity to have act in a couple of things, and that's still today. You still have to arrive in a mask. You still have to take a COVID test, like right there in front of them.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So
That's
this is still
interesting.
very, very real. So I think that's a super important job, especially because you have to be on your toes. If someone tests positive, that's not just like, all right, they test positive, you got to go home. Like, there's a lot that goes in. Like, there's a full set of people, like behind the camera, in front of the camera, and it's just, I give you a lot of credit. That is,
Because not everybody was pleasant about it, because I had to deal with a whole production team. So some of the projects I've worked on, some of them I can't say because they are not released yet. But I did work on, for example, I worked on Black Adam. That's a major production, and working with such a big personality as DJ, he expects things a certain way, and he has like his own mask. And because of the fact that I mean, I'm not disclosing anything knows in fact, he did catch COVID. And so ever since that day, he really made sure that everybody was like making sure they were following the rules. And when you work on a production, you're not just dealing with, the principals. You're also dealing with the caterers, the people who
Oh, I
work in
didn't
hair
even
and
think about
makeup,
that.
the
Yeah.
people who work in transportation, the construction builders, set props, everybody. And not everybody wants to wear a mask because depending on the time of the year, because this is in Atlanta.
Mm.
So in Atlanta in August, it's like,
It's too
the
hot.
devil's play yard there. It's like the humidity is ridiculous. So you're telling a construction guy that's working in a warehouse that he works 12 to 14 hours, depending on, on the day, wear a mask and he's sweating.
Mm,
That person's not always pleasant. So you have to shift gears when it comes to talking to people, especially in management. You have
mm-hmm.
to, because now you are representing, your department. So you just can't be, real flip about, what you want to say. You have to kind of take a beat, think about what you want to say, put yourself in their shoes, and like, it's hot, it's dusty, I'm tired, you know, fill in the blank. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was a very challenging position.
I can imagine. That's
That's
like
super
I know me.
challenging.
I'm not gonna wear a mask. I'm gonna tell you now. It's too hot.
They wouldn't
I
let
walk
you.
away.
Yeah, they
Like,
won't. You can't
because
do
then you think
it.
about heat stroke, exhaustion, and I don't know. That's
So interesting
difficult.
that you say that. So in certain cases, again, you have to sometimes work in the gray. I don't want to exchange one hazard for another. So
Right.
if they are working in, for example, the big warehouse studios where they have the big elephant doors that open, if we have air circulation, depending on the property and, the other departments involved, I don't want to exchange heat exhaustion for COVID.
Mm-hmm.
If someone is going to pass out, then yes, let's make sure we have fans. Let's make sure we have open doors and windows so we can keep the air circulating so they can work comfortably.
And
So
that's all
again, that's
something
where you
that
have to kind
was
of
under.
use your,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
So that was all under
And
your
if
wheelhouse.
someone did test positive, there's HIPAA. You can't disclose the
Yeah.
identity of the person.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the person who's
So
not there
it's very
anymore.
tricky. Right. So it's very tricky when you have to go to a department head and disclose, okay, this person can't come to work. I need the area where he was at completely wiped down. I need everybody out of the area so my team can come in, sanitize, and do their thing. And my team cannot disclose. Now, people are not dumb. They're going to figure it out, but
Mm-hmm.
they can't turn around and say it was us.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it was a very challenging, situation, but with that and every obstacle that comes along the way, I feel like it was positioning me, it was preparing me for the next
Mm-hmm.
position, if you will.
Right.
And that next preparation, and you've been working out since like well, you're a certified trainer, right?
Yes,
Since 1999. So that's
yes.
like 20 plus years. That's 20, almost 25 years ago. Just so you know. I don't know when you got your certification, but this year will be your 25th
That's
anniversary of being
amazing.
certified trainer.
Yes.
I want to ask, how do you feel like when you first got your certification? How do you feel the industry has changed as far as becoming certified? Like we are in process of studying for our certification. How do you think it's changed? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, first of all, congratulations on making that transition and taking your passion and putting it towards purpose. So thank you
Mm.
so much for that. The thing that I find that's changed is social media.
Mm,
Social
Yeah.
media is good in some ways, but when it comes to our industry, everyone is so quick to just say, well, I'm just going to follow this person on this particular platform, not realizing this person may not have the credentials that you as the individual need to
right,
achieve your goals.
right.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing that I really find it's interesting. Way back in 99, my first introduction was a VHS tape with Billy Blanks doing type and one
Oh my
I
God,
and
I
two. As long as
remember
remember
you count
that.
to eight,
that.
as long as you can count to eight, you was good. Now it's like everyone's educated on the internet. They now are familiar with muscle groups and body, types and it's the latest trend that I'm hearing now. Everyone is saying they're cutting and they're bulking. And it's like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You just heard that.
Yeah,
You
no.
have no idea what you're talking about. Because once I start drilling with some questions, it's obvious to you and I, to that individual and I, they don't know what they're talking about. So then that's when they have a seat, and then we really sit down and start talking. And that's the difference. It's like education. The more you arm yourself with education,
Mhm.
really study and really armor yourself with all that knowledge, your credibility is going to come across way stronger than someone who just has a bunch of followers and likes. And that's
Yeah.
going to be the key to your longevity.
Yeah.
Right. I love
agree.
that. I
Yeah.
love that. And you feel like you gain that so you get that foundation of that education off the bat from, but you're continuously studying, because obviously, the information that we have now is not necessarily, it's been added to the information that was available in 1999. So it says
Yes.
continuing. We're not just going to get our certification and then that's it.
Yeah.
No. You definitely want to continue not only to keep up your continuing education units, but you also want to focus on your groups of population that are often neglected, like postpartum moms,
Mm-hmm.
older generation, women who had menopause.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your body at 27 is not the same at 57. When menopause comes, it's like no one really talks about menopause. You start wondering, like, where did this come from?
Yeah, I'm
Why
really
my
interested to
moods?
hear
And then
about
hormones and
menopause.
all that. It's completely different. So if you can find your niche, that's what's really going to help you.
Yeah.
And I feel that's what's different now, is that there's certain population groups that are now finally getting the exposure
And the attention.
that they need.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's why for my niche, it would be like, weight loss surgery patients.
yes,
So that's who I want to
absolutely.
help.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm really interested to hear more about menopause, because you're right, it's not talked about a lot because we don't worry about it until we're in it. And then when we're in it, we're confused because it's like, what are we doing? What's going on? Because it's a big
Yeah.
hormone. It's a hormone fluctuation.
The hormones, yes. I mean, that's the first thing when I have someone sit down at my desk. I mean, for those that I won't disclose where, but I do work for a major gym chain, and I am the personal training director. So speak to people who initially join the gym, and the first question I ask is why, and then after that, what makes this time different? Because so many of them I call them start stoppers. They started, life happened, and they start again, and then after a while, it's like you start, stop, start, stop. Only thing that you see here is like flatline, plateau, nothing happened. So I always want to know what makes this time different than the next. And sometimes it is menopause. And I get the ladies that are like in their 50s and their 60s is like, I want to tone this up and all, and I don't know what happened. And so I ask about food. I ask about mood swings. I ask about sleep. I ask about, I know this might be a little TMI, but I ask about bowel movements, water. I ask a lot of questions. And that's the thing. They're like, no one's ever asked me these questions before. But these are all relevant to your fitness goals.
Do you feel that you have this, entourage of questions because of the experience that you've had in the industry? Like, okay. So I'm wondering if people that they've worked with in the past. Next question though, when they give you their why, do they know why? Like I remember, so my coach said the same thing. Like, why? What is your why?
The dark why.
Yeah,
You mentioned it.
a
Like
dark
the darker
why.
purpose to the why.
And when they asked me specifically, it was difficult for me to answer. And I'm like, I wanna get skin removal. That was like my surface level answer. And they're like, no, what is your why? Do you find that your clients have a difficulty answering that question?
Yes. And that's why I don't stop at the first answer. Like I typically hear, I want to get in shape. What does that mean to you? Tell me what get in shape means. So they try to dodge. So after like the second or third answer, they realize, okay, she's not going to accept this. So let me just keep it real. But I will say, before we really get down to the nitty gritty, I preface everything with, look, I'm human. This is what I do. And I tell them that just to let them know, like, this is a safe space. I'm not here to judge you. I just want to know. This is a meet and greet. And I just need to know a little bit about you so I can help you. And I can't help you if you're not honest with me.
Right.
But that is a difficult question to answer, and I don't know who these clients are, so I don't want to say that they per se that weren't dodging, but for me it was difficult to figure out that, the extra questions is what helped prod it out.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just give credit to you for not, just accepting that first answer, and I hope that your clients see that as a value and not just like, damn, she didn't let it go.
And I
She made
think
me look
by,
into myself.
just starting it off with just saying, look, this is a little bit about me. This first, I show them my pictures. This is my journey. This is, so I don't want you to think that I was always this way. This is, this
So
is me. I mean, even when I was in the military, I was able to, as far as physical fitness, I was able to pass all the requirements. But as soon as I stepped on the scale, I was fat. And so I was in the remedial PT program like the whole entire career when I was there in active service. So I tell them all that just to let them know, like, look, this is my backstory. Here's what I like to snack on. Here's what I like to drink, and so, I'm be human. So with that being said, it's okay. This is a safe place. I really just want to know a little bit more about you before we can even talk about fitness. And I think sometimes that softens, but I will say I still kind of have to dig. Like, when they say, well, I just want to look good in clothes. Why?
This is where you have to say, because I was tired of being teased when I was a kid because I was bigger than the rest of them.
Yeah.
It's hard to say that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
and
interesting.
I'll be honest, there've been times where that's why I keep a box of tissues at my desk because, once we start getting into the nit and gritty and we start talking, yeah, I tell them about the story where I was in high school and back in my day we had Schoolhouse Rock on Saturday mornings. I was in between the different cartoons. You had like that little 5 minutes of education.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a majorette on there where she's like really like all slim, and then the bottom half she's like really big. And my brother's godmother and said, Shellane, look, she looks just like you. Now this is high school, but to this day, those words still hurt, and it's just so getting back when I first connected with my coach, when she started doing that with me, she was asking, and I told her that story. And here comes the tears, but it's like, you just think about that. It's like, um, I don't want to be that. I don't want it. It still haunts me. So I try to keep that in my mind as I'm talking to potential clients in my chair because it's not easy.
No, it's not. It's brave. That's, that's, where we get our name, because it's very difficult to be honest about this type of journey.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. Now, so we've talked about your background, your education, you helping other people. So when did it become that you became a competitor?
It's so funny, yesterday I met someone at the workshop. And I'm just gonna
Wait, can we say
I
what
know it's not
workshop?
one of the questions, but I talk about it.
Okay, that's fine. But let's just
It's
say
just
what workshop you were at yesterday, because you say workshop and it sounds like so boring, but it was not
no,
boring. Where
no,
were you
no, no,
yesterday?
no. Um, this was the NPC, which is the National Physique Committee. That's what those initials mean. And that's the division that you compete in as an amateur before you actually go to pro. And so they had a women's workshop. So let's just talk about that. It was a women's workshop. It was free,
Wow.
and it was there. You had, I think, like 7 or 8 women who volunteered their time. They were not paid for this event. And I want to say, I really want to say all of them have competed on the Olympia stage. So they were there to motivate, to inspire, to educate, everything from, if you're a novice, what suit to pick, what color to pick, hair, makeup, and even as far as reverse dieting. Once you've done your show, now it's not, everyone thinks, oh, now I can just eat whatever I want. No, you have to, just like the way you prepped before a show, there's a certain way that you have to eat after a show just to make sure that your body doesn't go into like complete, like shock,
Shock, yeah.
and you know that weight back, especially if you plan on doing another show sometime in that year. So that being said, the workshop that I went to yesterday, one of the people that I met was Elaine Goodlad. And Elaine Goodlad was like back in the 80s, she was one of those people that was on all the fitness magazines. And I just thought she was so beautiful and so amazing. And she was there yesterday.
How exciting.
And I had a chance to meet her, and it was just so phenomenal, so phenomenal. And I told her, you were one of the ones that inspired me to really move forward. I saw you in the magazine, and in the back part of the magazine, there was a segment called Future Faces of Fitness. And I did it. I ended up 2 months later, after seeing her on that cover, I was in that magazine in that segment. So when I saw her
Wow.
yesterday, I was like, you're the reason why
That's so
I
cool.
started this whole process.
That's amazing.
So it's just
Wow. Wait, do
great.
you still
It
have
was
that
so
magazine?
great.
I hope you do.
I do. I'll take a screenshot, and it was a different last name because I was married to somebody different at the time. But I know I have it.
That's
So something
Oh,
like
that
that you don't get rid of,
no,
and
that
I'll
needs to
I'll
be
send it to you. But
framed
yeah.
Yeah.
and put on the wall.
So that was
But
exciting.
as far as I'm sorry, getting back to your initial question, I did it because I always wanted to do it, but I didn't know how
Okay.
Right.
until I started teaching. And then once I
Hmm.
started teaching, I was networking with different people that, after a while said, hey, if you really are serious about competing, I know some people that could help you. And then once I started, doing that, I was hooked.
So how many competitions, or have you already competed, or are you training for your first competition?
No, I competed, I want to say like 2012, 2011 to 2012 or 20, oh Lord, excuse me, 20, I think for like 2 3 years, but way back in the early 2000s. And then I took like 12 years off because I don't know, I just wasn't in the right headspace.
Okay.
And so now that I'm much older, I realize that the trophy is not the actual thing that you should be pushing for. I mean, granted, we all want to win, but being on that stage, that is the finish line. That is the actual prize because so many people quit in the middle of it
Yeah.
because it is hard. It's very hard. There's certain things that you no longer eat, no longer drink. Um, I never did, but if smoking or vaping is a thing, that's out of the question. So it's like there's a lot, and there's a lot of discipline that's involved. And
Hmm.
so, but being primary military, I mean, it was a no brainer for me. So
So you had a leg up on that one with
yeah.
regard to discipline. But how long do you train prior to an actual competition? Like specifically train for the competition?
Right. So again, this is very general because everyone's different, but it takes somewhere between, I want to say the average is about maybe 12 to 15 weeks prep. And this is somebody that is not having to, lose a lot of weight and so on. Someone who's pretty much, like already, I don't want to say average, but someone who's just kind of like, okay, there's a good foundation there.
Hmm.
And then, all right, this is where we're going to switch gears and we're going to go 12, 15, maybe even 20 weeks prep, just depending on the show and where they are. But someone like myself, I had to do a whole year of what my coach, and now I realizing they call it body recon. So that's where I had to drop a lot of weight because I started February 197. So I dropped a lot of weight. And then it's like, okay, loose skin. Now we have to go ahead and go and it's like Play-Doh. You have to kind of
Yeah.
put all these
Wow.
pieces and start putting the muscle over there. And now I'm I was in a maintenance phase. I guess
Okay.
I still am in a maintenance phase. So I want to say maybe like 4 more weeks. That's where my coach will now look at me and say, okay, now I think we're ready, because
Okay.
my coach is not going to put me on that stage if I'm not ready, and
Right.
no coach should. No coach should just be like, all right, look on the wall, pick a date. That's the one we're going to go for. And then like try to cram your body and your mind and everything else into these like blocks of weeks that you may not be ready for. And then
Mm-hmm.
you'll end up just stressing out. And the whole preparation part is, yeah, there's going to be some times where it's going to suck, but you should be learning and enjoying the process, because seeing yourself change from one thing to
Mm-hmm.
another,
Mm-hmm.
that's the journey. So
Mm-hmm.
Right.
getting to that stage, that's like the finish line. And then if you place, you get a trophy, that's icing on the cake. And
Gotcha.
that's what I finally realized after all these years. Back when I first started, I was just focused on walking home with the trophy. And that's
That
not what it's
shouldn't be
all
your,
about.
okay, so that
It's
shouldn't be your
great, but
focus. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Hmm.
Wow.
I've been listening and like absorbing and learning this entire time. I do know there you can't peak too soon when you're in training. How do you avoid that? Is it are there a certain amount of weeks out that you have to just, this is where I'm going to go extra hard so I get the peak while I'm on stage?
Well, that's why having a good coach will help monitor that, because I'm such a go-getter. I will just train, 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 just go and go and go, and then realize why I can't move my arms. So you have to you have to have some deload, have a deload week,
Right.
so your body can pull back on the volume and not do cardio. So, you don't peak too much, and then also make sure we're monitoring the food, because just like you said, if you peak too soon, guess what? Now you have to hold that.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
And that's the hardest
What does
part.
that mean though, peaking?
What?
For those of us who aren't
Peak,
in the competitor
yeah,
world.
peaking is basically like you look like you could literally step on a show,
Yeah.
Oh,
like
okay.
within days. That's when you are at your peak, your optimal, the best. I mean, you got everything popping and ripping and tight, and and that's great. But if your show is not for another like 2 3 months and you've already there,
Got
you
you.
you have to hold that.
Yeah, got
Very
you.
So
difficult.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I got you. That makes sense.
Hmm.
I studied for bodybuilding like I've had workbooks and textbooks and I would highlight things and just study, and I didn't have a coach, and the coach that I tried to have wasn't really reliable. So that's why I backed off. But like I've studied where I'm like, okay, maybe we can try this, maybe we can try that. So I'm listening to you and I'm absorbing so much, like, okay, it's getting on the stage that's the real win. Like that's what I'm taking from
Yeah.
this. Like that's the
Yeah.
real win. So like I'm readjusting the goals in my head now. Thank you.
Is there a
Oh yeah.
process to even get a entrance into one of these competitions, or is this something that anybody could say they want to
I
be in?
mean, anyone could just, first of all, you just have to, like Ash said, mentally prepare yourself, do your homework, but then mentally prepare. I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. There's certain people that coach themselves, but if you're what the MPC says, a true novice, I really do recommend having a coach, because that coach is going to guide you through the process.
Mm-hmm.
And like for me, patience is not my jam. I want it yesterday. And so like last November, I was aiming for a show because it was my birthday month and it's my comeback and blah blah blah. And she was like, no. And I was like, but I really want. She was like, I know, but no, you're not ready. And so
Oh,
doing the research, picking a coach, and then once you place, and this is where I don't claim to know everything,
mm-hmm.
because this is like when I competed, my very first show was a category 5. They don't have categories anymore. So, that's how much have things have changed. So that's why again it's good having a coach who can guide you through these things, because you have your local shows that just kind of help you get the confidence being on stage, because
Okay.
let's face it, you are in a suit that the whole world sees everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can hide up
Under
there.
no, there's no hiding, and you're underneath lights, so they see everything. So you have to be confident enough to be like, okay, world, here I am. And if you are uncomfortable with that, that should be something that you should already consider, like, do I really want to do this? But if that doesn't bother you, okay. So then, having, this is what they talked about yesterday, being strategic with your shows, because these shows are expensive. People don't think about, you have to tan. And it's not just being out on the side or going to a tanning booth. You actually have to pay people backstage to put this tanner on you. So when you're underneath those lights, you see all the striations.
Yeah.
That's the reason why people
Oh.
tan. And it's not just one coat. So for each coat, there's more expense. And then for women, we have the hair and the makeup and the nails and the suit and the shoes and the jewelry, so there's all that. And then let's not forget about posing.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm doing every Thursday. I allot just a day where I'm practice posing for like an hour. And that was one of the other things I was so excited about this workshop yesterday, because you had somebody there with your body type, to show you, okay, elbows a little bit here, shoulders down or whatever, and to actually do that. Because 9 times out of 10, even from my coach, that's my coach, and to do posing, that's still an additional expense. This sport is expensive.
Yeah, it's
So
not
you
something you
have
could
to
YouTube.
be ready for that.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
YouTube the and learn how to do it through
So
YouTube.
I have another question now. So with posing, so I was told that after each workout, you should practice posing because it helps the muscle and the blood flow go to that muscle and make it pop more. And is that something that you recommend after each workout? Just like practicing the poses for each body group that you worked out. Like if I'm doing glutes, am I gonna flex my glutes in the mirror and like it's fine?
No, I actually do it during my workout when I have like 46 seconds in between sets. That's what I'm doing. I'm holding my front pose.
Ooh.
Because if you can't hold that pose and you're on stage and you're shaking, that's already, you might as well just go home.
Yeah.
You have to be able to hold that pose. So you also want to remember what it feels like, because right now at the gym, I'm fortunate. I have mirrors to look at. When I'm on stage, there's no mirror.
Ooh,
Yeah.
good
So
point.
you have to know what that feels like.
And looks like.
And looks
Like that muscle memory. I know when I was reading one of the pamphlets, it says you can't flick your wrist. Like you have to have your wrist in like a neutral position, and it's really intricate. It's cool. Like I love it.
Even the fingers, because you don't
Yeah.
want to look like a scarecrow. You don't. I mean, where's the camera? I can't. Yeah,
There
you don't
you
want
go.
your fingers looking. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
have to be relaxed and pretty.
Yes.
And
as we
it's so
hand
crazy.
pose.
And then like if you notice, I don't know if you can see my hand. Where am
There
I?
you go.
Anyway, my nail color is neutral.
Yep.
So maybe even for that day, it might even be like French tips. But I don't want the judges noticing my nails first.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I want everything has to complement each other.
Yep.
Interesting. Wow,
It's
that's
really
a
cool.
lot.
I love bodybuilding. I love watching competitions. I love to see it on Instagram. I follow so many bodybuilders just so that if I'm laying down being lazy, I'm like, oh no, I need to get up. I need to go to the gym. Like that's been my motivation for the past 2-3 years. So I'm like, that's why I'm listening. I'm learning, and I'm like, okay, good. Just get to the stage, and that's your real win. Like that's my new mantra. I love it.
So
Yeah, thank you.
you should. This is something you've talked about since day one.
Yeah.
And I think you should get back on there, but you need a coach.
It'll happen. I feel like it'll happen organically because every time I went out and searched, it just didn't click.
Okay.
So I'm just going to let it flow.
So that's a great question then. How did you meet your coach and decide this was the right fit for my journey?
Ooh, that's a good
Good
one. That is a
question.
good one. Yeah.
Well, first of all, just like what Ash said with her experience, prior to that, I had, I had 2.5 coaches. That's funny. So I had my first coach. God, I have to be really careful because because people who know me know who my coaches were, so I don't want to really disclose. Okay, I'll put you this way. You want to make sure, first of all, you want to research your coach. Potential, if you have somebody in mind, you want to research the, previous clients. You want to research current clients, and you want to research what they do as far as on, sort of social media. So here's my thing. The reason why you want to, God, I know what I want to say because they touched on this yesterday, and I was like, ding, ding, ding. That was perfect. Current clients, you want to see who they currently have now and how they look. But previous clients, you want to know what they look like now.
Okay. If there's
Because it's their
sustainable.
health. The thing about my coach is that she tends to go the holistic way. So with this being said, if I have a headache, she doesn't want me to take aspirin. She wants to try to find a more holistic way to deal with the headache.
Yeah.
And with her being pre-med, I'm going to trust her because she's always sharing information, from the text that she's reading, that she's studying as to why. And that's what I love. It's never one of these, okay, I want you to do this, 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 and never give an explanation.
Oh,
so that's what you want. You want a coach that's going to be there to answer any questions. You want a coach that's going to work with you as far as food, because I have dietary limitations. Like I'm lactose intolerant. So she knows not to give me yogurt or anything like that. She knows broccoli makes my stomach upset, so she's not going to make me eat broccoli. But on the same notion, if I am interested in something, she's going to be like, okay, let me take a look. All right, now here's your new eating plan, and everything is measured, correctly. And she's very thorough, and she always checks in to see how I'm doing. And that's what you want. You want a coach that's very, just available. That's the thing. And that's what I didn't have in the past.
I kind of agree with that. I love my coaches. They know this. I post them all the time. And I had a networking event this past week for work. We did a company building, like a camaraderie building event. And after the event, we all went out for drinks, and I got invited to a Knicks game. So I went, and I got in trouble by my coaches because I'm on a 28-day challenge right now, and it's very strict. Like I'm on 1,200 calories, and I had sausage and peppers and French fries and wine. Yeah, look at her face.
Wait a minute. Did you post that?
No, I didn't post it, but I was honest with my coach when he's like, because he's very hands-on. My master coach, like the main coach, he'll send me weekly, okay, here's your roundup for this week. And you looked great, but I see you didn't post anything on Thursday. What happened Thursday? Let me know what happened. So I honestly told him what happened. And he put me in a group chat with all of my coaches to be like, when did the rules change? When is French fries and wine and wine, French fries, and then wine again become okay? And that's when I was like, wow. So I appreciate. So I was completely shamed, but I appreciate it.
You won't do that again.
Yeah, no, they bring it up today. This morning, my coach was like, "How is this French fries?" I was like, "I don't understand why French fries are bad." But that's what I love about that camaraderie, that community. They don't let me feel like I'm just somebody who's going to a gym.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
So it's funny that you talked about that. So we had a Christmas event where we went to, I can say this place. We went to Topgolf. It wasn't bad. They actually had good food, but I told my coach beforehand, this is where I'm going for this event, because that's part of feedback. Every Thursday, I submit videos, pictures. She has like 2 pages of questions that I have to fill out.
Wow.
And one of the questions is, do you have any special trips or events? So I told her, I have this Christmas party at this place with VPs and all this stuff, and I don't want to, this is my coach now. I told you, she's very fair. But she, she's like, look, I don't want you to feel alienated, and I don't want you to make them feel uncomfortable. So look up at their menu,
right?
See what they have. Tell me what you're thinking about having, and then she's like, okay. But what I did, I went ahead and had one of my meals, I want to say 30 minutes prior. So when I did go there, I really only ended up having the salad. Was
Okay.
it like chicken? No, yeah, it was chicken, avocado salad with typical stuff.
Nice.
And but yeah, so I mean, if you have that line of communication beforehand,
Well,
this is
so
what I'm gonna
it was
do,
last minute
you
though. It
know.
wasn't planned. It was like,
I do like that idea of looking up the menu to just
I
get
do
a,
that
yeah,
before I
that's
go to a
great.
restaurant. That's
Oh,
why I always know
I
what I'm
play
going to
roulette.
order.
Yeah, no, I play
Oh
roulette. I'm
no,
like,
that's
let's
why I always
see.
know what I'm going to order. But when we have our podcaster nights and we'll say we're going to go to this restaurant, I've already looked at the menu and know what I'm going to order ahead of time. I'm like the always hungry one of the group, but I also plan because I want to make sure that I can not, and I've experienced this when we're out to dinner and I'm like, should I eat this? And I
Yeah.
remember you telling me like you
Yeah.
work your butt
I
off.
told her, like, you work really hard. Eat it.
Yeah,
Just
enjoy.
eat it. One isn't going to ruin your entire
Yeah.
workout. Like the
But
months
that
you've been
anxiety
training.
is real when you're not
Yeah. This
pre-planning.
big food anxiety. Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the topics they talked about yesterday in the mental health section is first of all, loving yourself, period, no matter where you are
Yes.
in your journey. And then also having a healthy relationship with food, depending on your goals. Like me, on the other hand, I don't have that privilege. I don't have that one is not going to kill you. No, but my coach will. So no, but no, seriously. But it's like it was funny because yesterday her mom is there and her mom was like, yeah, we're gonna go and we should really do this barbecue and this event and we'll have a scale there and all this stuff. And
Oh,
then she
That's
said,
really
I love
sweet.
Mom,
that.
stop talking to her about barbecue. She cannot have it. She's a future champion. She pushed me away.
Future, I
Oh,
love
but
that.
future
that was
Future
champion.
funny. But
champion.
she knows. But the thing is, at the end of the day, is like having that healthy relationship with food is like, okay, one is not going to kill you, but then also, kind of think about what are your goals and then see if there's a substitute
Yes.
or portion control.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the end of the world. One meal is not going to make you fat. It's not that. But
Right.
at the end of the day, you really just have to just be careful because today it could be just one, tomorrow it could be just two, and before you
Right.
know it, we're backsliding. So you
Right.
Yeah.
really just have to understand what it is, that we're going to eat or drink, and just think about it. Just make, but don't be anxious. Don't overthink about it
Oh my
because
God.
then you next thing you know it might turn unhealthy and you start binging. We don't want that either. It's
Right.
just
Yeah.
having a
Are we there? We're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, on the topic of mental health, that was something that you really wanted to make sure that we touched on. Can you see us okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So that was an important topic that you wanted to bring up, the mental health aspect. In what regard do you feel that mental health is improved? And a lot of people don't, they see us post that, that's our therapy, because we don't want to like face a real therapist and talk. But no, it's a real thing. Like I feel my mood is completely different when I finish working out than when I started.
Well, yeah, the endorphins are flying, It's like, yeah, you're empowered, and some of the moves that you did, like anytime you do any kind of serious barbell work, there's all these like neurological, responses that just make you feel like, yeah. But just to touch on that, a little bit about me. I'm a PTSD and MST survivor. And for the longest time, I used the gym as my therapist. And I even wrote a poem, like something along the line of, my barbell is my therapist. He doesn't mind if I see him 2 times a day. He doesn't talk back. I can throw him around one, two. It's just something along those lines. But the thing is that, the gym does help, but every once in a while, I see a therapist, once or twice, not once or twice a month, but it's like every other month. I mean, every other week, excuse me. And it helps me unpack those things that I compartmentalized and just realize like, yeah, the gym is there, but there are certain things that you will have to deal with. So, for example, body image, you know, we have to give ourselves some grace. You have to just understand that this is your journey, and just because you don't look like the next person doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It's just that this is your journey, and this is, you have your own pace to
Mm-hmm.
follow.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. And then you have to love yourself at every part of the journey. You have to love yourself when you first started, and then you have to love yourself right here in the transition. And then you definitely want to love yourself at the end. But then, you know, are you going to maintain that? If we start to put on weight again, we have to love ourselves and be confident enough to be like, you know what, there's nothing wrong with you. Everybody fluctuates in weight, you know. And it's interesting because, again, we talked about that yesterday. You have these people that the Olympia is the all-star, it's the Super Bowl of bodybuilding. That's what it is. That is like top tier around the world.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't always look like that. They look, by the time you see them on stage, they have gone hours without water, not hours, but like, I know for me, there's like a certain thing where you have to make sure you don't drink or eat too soon before you go on that stage, because then you do what's called spilling over, where you start to develop water underneath the subcutaneous part of the skin, and then you start to expand just a little bit, and then before you know it, you're kind of like you're spilling over the edges of your
Changes
suit.
the
So you just have to kind of love yourself no matter where you are, and not, like we said earlier, not be so over anxious about food.
how. So that's something that I had sought therapy for specifically my relationship with food. Like how does that play? How big of a part does that play in something like this competition?
I'm
Like
sorry, I I just got a message, low battery, so I might.
okay.
So can you go back and repeat the question
Yeah,
again?
so something that I had sought therapy for was my relationship with food. So I
Yes.
was specifically looking for a therapist who specialized in food.
Yes.
How does something like that, your relationship with food, play a part? How big of a part does that play in a competition like this?
Yeah, because it's like one of the other persons I hired for a coach, she was saying like, you shouldn't like people say, well, I'm gonna go ahead and treat myself to this. It's like, you're not a dog. It's like you shouldn't like feel like, you're treating yourself. And I'm like, I don't think I like the way you just said that to me, because it's, food is for fuel.
Yeah.
That's what changed how I eat. Your body is a machine. So if you put in junkie gas, you're going to get junkie performance.
Hmm.
And then also, this was the thing that my husband said to me when we first started dating. He said, if you eat like everybody else, you're going to look like everybody else. And I know that's not what you want.
Mm.
You're a competitor. When he said that to me, I initially wanted to slap him. But then after the emotion went down, I was like,
You're right.
he's right.
Yeah.
He's right, because he was a former bodybuilder.
Oh.
Nice.
Oh, that's an important question. And I actually saw somebody talk about this. How important is it to have a relationship with someone who is also a gym head? Which apparently is what we are, by the way.
And it's really important because of the fact that he knows, being a competitor, he understands there's going to be moments where I need to be by myself. Like right now, he's at the gym,
Mm-hmm.
and he knows I will come to the gym, and when I'm there, we're not going to work out together because of the fact that, we are on two separate planes. And he also knows that, he might come over and give me all right, come on, finish that rep, but he's not going to train me
Right.
because he knows it's like, that is my me time.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
it's also important to have somebody who's a gym head, because they're going to understand. They're going to understand when you're cranky. They're going to understand when you don't feel like, you know what? They're going to understand. they're going to understand your moods. And luckily for me, my husband and I, we've been married 15 years, and he's very supportive. He helps me when I'm running late in the morning. He will already prep my meals
Nice.
because he knows, he sees the plan. So he's like, honey, I already got your meals placed, so don't worry about it. Just go
Aw.
ahead and eat your food and then, just put your food in your lunchbox.
You
So
have no
it helps
excuse.
to
I
have
love
somebody
that.
very
That's so
supportive.
important.
I really do agree with that. Whether it be, working out or even in the industry itself, like I find you need to be with another creative in order to prosper in the industry. And same thing with the gym. Like I don't know, I'm single, but I don't know if I would want to have to explain. And I've seen memes about this. Like, I don't want to have to explain to somebody why it is I disappear for 2 hours. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like, 'cause I'm at the gym.
Well, even Arnold, I was watching an interview with him, and his former wife
Okay.
would wonder, like, why do you have to be at the gym for so long? Like 2 3 hours, and it's like having to explain that, and they don't understand. Well, it's like I have to make sure I hit my front delt, my side delt, my rear delt, and you can't, you know what I mean? It's like they're not going to understand that. So
Yeah, that's.
Even if they knew what the delts were.
I'm laughing because it's like,
It's
yeah,
true. It's
I
true.
spend 2 hours in the gym, and that's my husband already knows. Like that's my time to just leave me alone. Don't talk to me. Don't call me. I put my phone on do not
and
disturb.
that's not cardio either.
That's
Yeah.
not yeah.
Cardio is separate.
Yeah. Yep.
So we're friends with the like we're buddies on our watches when we work out, and I'll get a notification that Ash just finished a workout, and then
Yeah.
an hour later Ash just I was like, what the
Oh
hell
yeah,
are you doing?
So yeah, I for the watch shows you each individual workout, so I like to track them and write them down. So it's like I stretch, that's one. Then I do like a quick
Your
warm
weight-
up, and
yeah,
then I
your
do the weightlifting, and then I do the cardio. So she's
Cardio.
getting like 5-6 alerts.
Like, oh my God.
And then I go into the sauna right after, and then stretch again. So it's like, it's 2 hours minimum, minimum.
So, all right, we
Oh.
got to start wrapping up soon. But I wanted to ask if there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we say our goodbyes.
Just you two actually touched on it. If you can find a good accountability buddy, that's great. Just having a good, healthy support system, because that really makes all the difference in the world. Because there are moments where you're not going to feel like going to the gym, or even if you are, that workout might not be as good as you hoped it be. But it's the fact that you have somebody there that's saying, "Hey, you made it. It's okay. You did great. And tomorrow will be better."
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Actually, I love what you said. It was off air, but I want to make sure it's heard now, where you said the brain is the biggest muscle that's the least used.
Amen.
That was
sister.
that was a good one. I'm
That
like,
was
we
so
have
good.
to remember that
Yes.
one.
Yeah, it's just, first of all, everything from think about what you're going to say first before you open your mouth,
Yeah.
to that, to what are we feeding our brain? So when we're on the treadmill, are we watching motivational videos? Are we watching, something that could be informational? And then also doing your research as far as why are you doing that exercise? Are you doing it because it looks cool on Instagram? Or are you doing it because it's actually going to benefit you hitting some of those trouble areas that, you're really trying to attack? So yeah, the brain is the biggest muscle, but it's the least used.
I'm taking
Well,
that one with me.
Yeah, I'm taking that one
Yeah.
with me too. All right, so I want to thank you so much for giving us
Yes.
some of your time today, and I hope you have an amazing workout.
Oh yeah, I am now because I'm fired up, man. I am like ready to go.
Hyped. Oh, we
And
do.
I'm so
Hyped
glad I
up.
did this because I
Yeah.
finally had a chance to talk to you. Where it's always like quick little messages and chats
Yeah,
and stuff on
yeah.
Instagram, but it's like I just love this, and I just hope that more people will take advantage coming on the show. This is a safe place,
Yeah.
great platform,
Thank
and
you.
you two are awesome.
Thank you.
I'm super happy to have met
Yeah.
you. This is I'm
You're super awesome
excited.
too. Wait, so
Yeah.
where can everybody find you on social media?
I think the best place is to hook me up on, let me see, The Real Foy at 1966.
And that's on Instagram.
Yes.
On Instagram. All right. So I again hope you have an amazing workout. We will be making sure we follow your journey to
Yes.
your next competition, and I'm super excited. And I thank you so much for your time.
Me too.
Yeah.
I
Thank
love you
you.
guys.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Me too.
much.
All right. So that was another episode.
Awesome episode.
Awesome episode. All right. So everybody, go have a great week. We'll be
Yes.
back next time. I am Sally, your favorite Minx.
And I'm Asha Zoo.
And we're Bravely Fit. Bye. Have a good one, everybody.